Welcome to the Big Blue Breakdown, Vanderbilt versus Kentucky postgame show. First time doing this, so hopefully everybody listening joins in. Mike Buckheister joining in as well, posting everything he wants you to know. Let's see here. Let me just get everything set up here. Right now, sharing this out to all my fellow Big Blue Nation members. All right, guys. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. Hopefully we get some views. If not, feel free to share it, and we'll get this content around. All right, guys. For a little bit of people, a little bit of info for people who want to know what this might be. This is my opinion. This is my breakdown. This is emotional reel of what I just seen on Kentucky versus Vanderbilt. It's going to be raw. If we win, I'm going to be over the top. No one could do any wrong. If we lose, I'm going to be extremely pessimistic at times. I hope not. Hopefully not too many more bad games ahead, but this one was a great one. We went on the road. We got Vandy. I was a little nervous. A lot of people said this could be a trap game. I wasn't sure. We'd been playing really well. We choked away one down in Alabama. We made up for it with a win at Auburn. I kind of thought we may end up dropping it to Kansas, got it done. Then I started being curious, was this the game we was going to lose? We went out tip off to end, played great. Obviously, a lot of people is going to be, I mean, if you want to be a skeptic, you can be pretty frustrated that a lot of threes, which is probably the worst thing that we're doing right now is guarding threes. A lot of threes started falling late in the throughout the second half, but I'm okay with it. I mean, look, it is what it is. You get up 30 points, you hold a team to 15 and a half, you're not going to be able to come out with that same energy. I'm okay with it. I felt like there was times that I wasn't paying attention and I zoomed back in and I felt that we was at Rupp South. At times I was like, why did Rupp change their court? The place was so loud, Kentucky fans everywhere. This is how I knew we were predominant in that stadium tonight. When the Go Big Blue chants, typically on the road, when those chants begin, the boos start to drown everything out. Not tonight. The Go Big Blue started, you couldn't stop it. It was going early in the half. It was going into halftime, second half, there at the end. Look, maybe you was hard on how Kentucky fans act at Rupp. Maybe you got some concerns on how Rupp laid out. But what I saw at the Kansas game and what I saw tonight, I'm loving what I'm seeing from the team and the fan base. We're really getting behind it. Look, I'm not comparing the teams, but what I am going to say, in my heart, this team's taken that spot with the 2015, with the 2010, with the 2012 team, and even there at the end with that 2017 team, where I'm so invested in these guys. Look, as Kentucky fans, we're always invested. We're always excited to see these guys play. But there's a certain point you become invested. There's a certain point that when PJ's jumping around, hooting and hollering, you just love PJ. You want to go out and buy a 25 jersey. When Tyler Hero's doing what he does, this is one of those teams where I will be crushed if we don't win a title. Look, I know Duke's still doing what Duke's doing down there. And every year is upsetting when we don't win. But this is one of those teams where this nucleus, well, look, some guys may come back, but this nucleus isn't going to last for another year. There's just too much talent. PJ's finding his own. Keldon's a beast in his own right. I don't even know what Tyler Hero is going to end up doing because the man plays like an NBA player. He's still got a lot to learn, but he scores and buckets. He scores just whenever he wants to at times when he's going. When you need a bucket, he's going to get you one. NBA scouts notice that. I hope, I'd love it if all 12 guys came back. Realistically, I don't think that's going to be a thing. But I'm just getting so invested in this team. I'm so excited. When even at the end when Nick Richards was catching lobs and seeing the fan base or the team, his teammates go wild on the side, you just want to see them succeed. You just want them to hoist that trophy. I think back, one of the biggest ones that hurt obviously was that 2015 team, but that 2017 team when we lost that on a last-second shot to North Carolina, seeing Fox, Monk, Bam crying and embracing each other, that hurt. Like that hurts more than just a game. Now there's certain teams, and I'll be honest with you, like the 2014 team, even though we made it to the championship game, it sucked losing in the championship game. But there was just something about that team that you didn't know if you loved the Harrison twins or not. You felt Julius Randle was gone. You didn't really know. It was tough to really get behind that team. Maybe it's because they really struggled until March, till the tweak. This team, though, man, I'm right there. I need them to win, and obviously more than ever, I think this team's going to crush me if we can't get it done. Now, I know halfway through the season there's still a lot going on, but this is just one of those. This is just one of those that. This is one of those teams that I'm there. I'm everywhere. I'm following them on social media. I see one of our editors asked in here, who was tonight's MVP? It had to be PJ. I mean, PJ's playing like a man possessed. PJ's playing like I thought. If PJ would have played like this last year, we were at least going to the Final Four. PJ showed this aggression against K-State in the Sweet 16, but he couldn't hit it when he got to the foul line. This is a PJ that is doing everything. He's hitting free throws. He's defending. He's grabbing rebounds. He's hitting mid-range jumpers. He's hit three-pointers. He's doing it all. So that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to start by giving grades out to all the guys who played tonight. PJ gets an A+. I mean, this is one of those games that PJ was feeling it. He could have went for 40 if the game called for it. The game didn't. He was able to put up, what was that? I believe 26, and I think he did have a double-double. But, yeah, he had a 26 and 11. I mean, Cal says he might be the best player in the country. I don't know. I don't know where he'll go if he goes pro, but he's one of the best players on this team. He's what we need to be holding up, to be playing in April. I think that's the goal for everybody, especially this team, to be playing in April. PJ came out there, dominated, really entirely. Look, it's Vanderbilt. I know. I'm going to pump the brakes. But just seeing it, Kansas, Auburn, Mississippi State, now Vanderbilt, it's just consistency, and I'm excited to see. Moving on down the lineup, we had Ashton Hagans, and I apologize, guys, I don't have the numbers. Ashton Hagans put up a line you want from your point guard. Six rebounds, 8 assists, 7 points. Close to a triple-double, didn't really dominate in any performance. The man hit 2 big three-pointers. If his defense, mixed with his ability to get to the lane, add in three-pointers, I got to give this man an A. Like I said, this might be the type of show where I'm just overexcited, handing out A's like it's some kind of art class. But Ashton Hagans played his brains out. And he just and I'm not even talking about tonight. I'm just talking about since the game against UNC Greensboro. When he didn't have an offense, he couldn't buy a basket. Oprah couldn't give him a basket. But he went out there and he guarded and he essentially shut down their best player. Now, ever since then, he's steals out the wazoo. He started by getting to the basket, wasn't really converting, couldn't get them to go in. But you're just thinking, if this is that type of John Wall, Darren Fox speed, I don't care if he's not finishing because you got to respect it. Then they started to respect it too much, giving him all that space, and rightfully so, he wasn't a good three-point shooter. He's starting to hit them. I'm not telling you he has to hit them great. I'm not telling you he has to knock them out the park. If he can hit us 2, you can't leave him. If he goes 2 for 4 in the first half, you cannot leave him. You got to play up. He'll make you pay. That's all we need from him because with his defense, his speed, his ability to see. Cal did something awesome when he went to the zone. He started putting him in the middle, so not really at the point position, so he could still facilitate. It led to some good baskets. Tyler Hero went for 12 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. It was a quiet 12 points. There was times I forgot he was out there. He had a nice dunk. He had a couple of nice pull-ups. But I think that's great. That's Gabe. Sure. Let me go through some of these players. I'd love to have you on. I'll have to figure out how to do this on live. But that's what I want to do. I want to talk to fellow Kentucky fans such as myself who's going to be going to work tomorrow talking about this game. Come talk about it tonight. Come talk about it right now. Come talk about it with me. But Tyler Hero, I'm okay with this. I'm okay with Tyler Hero giving me a quiet 8 to 12 because I just know when we go to Auburn, when we go to Tennessee, when we're in the Final Four and there's equally amount of fan base and everybody's screaming and yelling and hating, Tyler Hero's going to be a man. I'm calling it now. So if Tyler Hero wants to, and I don't want to tell you he took the night off. He played great, had a couple good steals, had a nice dunk. But if he wants to be quiet and let some of the guys shadow, you're not going to hear a word from me. Moving on here, Reed Travis. Now, the going's good right now. It's hard to be tough on anybody. I see there might be a lot of people thinking Reed Travis, I mean, he had 3 points, 3 rebounds. He's not looking like he was early, but I think that's okay. We've talked about this on Big Blue Breakdown. Me and Mike Buckheister has had these conversations. Reed Travis was what he was. When that man stepped on the stepped on Rupp Arena, when he put on that white and blue, he was who he was. He grew at Stanford. He developed at Stanford. He knew now I have to come in here and be a leader. Everybody else has just surpassed him. Nothing against Reed. It just shows you how strong everyone else is. Yes, his rebound numbers have gone down. But you know who's went up? Quickly, Hagens, Hero, PJ, Richards. Everybody else has surpassed because they're finding it. And I think Cal secretly falls in love with this. This might be a trend of something to come in the future. Because, look, it happens every year. Whether it be Alex Poythress, whether it be Charles Matthews, some just develop faster than others. And sometimes when those freshmen, when those numbers start to go, Scal, Marcus Lee, the list goes on, they go and they sulk. But when you have a fifth-year senior like Reed Travis and he goes for a 3-point, 3-rebound night, you still know you're getting the best from him. Because this is his NBA. I've said that. I don't know if Reed Travis played in the NBA. He might bounce around, find his way in the G League. This is his NBA. He played 4 years at Stanford. He was your basketball player. This is his Hollywood. This is him walking on campus, all the girls waving, all the dudes wanting autographs, everybody wanting his jersey. This is his NBA. I think he's going to come in clutch. Another little fun fact, could be cool, could be scary. In the Cal era, every time he has a player on the roster that is from a major city that the Final Four is in, Cal gets there. 2014, Julius Randle, Harrison twins, was from Texas. Final Four was in Dallas. 2015, Trey Lyles, Indianapolis. Final Four was in Indianapolis. Reed Travis, Minneapolis. Final Four was in Minneapolis. He's not going to be a freshman. He's going to be a fifth-year senior playing on his hometown. I think he prevails. I think we're going to see him. I don't think we're done with Reed Travis, but I think we're at that point where everyone else is finding out there's this new talent. Everyone else is falling in love with their new skill. It's going to take a little bit. Reed Travis has been surpassed, but don't give up on him. He's going to have 5 rebound days. He's going to have 12 rebound days. He's going to have 20-point games. He's going to have 2-point games. I love the fact, like I said, that he's a senior. If he was a freshman, I was a little worried about E.J. Montgomery, the minutes not really going his way, the shots not really falling. I was a little worried early on. He seems to be coming on, but that's that freshman mentality. That's that thing you have to worry about. They're not used to – Reed Travis is used to being the second option. He's used to being the first option. He's used to being the fifth option. Now he comes to Kentucky. He's whatever you need him to be. He's whatever you want from him. Let's go. I'm looking through some of the chats here. John Parham said Nick Richards, hey, absolutely, MVP of the night. He needed that type of game. He did, because he's going to be key to us being successful. Now, he doesn't need to be Anthony Davis. Doesn't need to be any shape or form of it. Can he be Marcus Lee, that Michigan game, 2014? Can he be that every game just a little bit? If he can be that, we're good. I'm telling you, we're good. Let's see here. Yeah, Gabe, I see you in here. I like the fact that this is we had demolished a Tennessee team or a Vanderbilt team that took Tennessee to overtime. I'm a little curious to see if the hype was there because that's an in-state rival, that's Kentucky, Louisville type stuff, and then to come back around and play an actual Kentucky team who's equally as good as Tennessee, if not better. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to look too big into the transitive property. Team A beats Team B, so Team B, I into all that. But Craig Smith, I see about the Tennessee game. I'm excited about it. I'm rooting for Tennessee. I'm a Tennessee fan right now. I want Tennessee to be number one when they come to Rupp. I don't like our chances in Knoxville. I'll be honest with you. I'm not excited about it. I'm always excited. But we have a tough set of games. So, Buck, yeah, I mean, we got Florida at home. That's going to be tough. We got South Carolina. They're scrappy. Frank Martin will have them guys playing. We have Mississippi State on the road. They're going to be wanting revenge. They've been playing this tough all the way back from the Boogie Call Me days. Yeah, and then you got LSU, who doesn't have a conference loss. They will by the time we face them. And then then we got Tennessee. So yeah, that's why I'm going to take a second and go off on a little concern. So when the rankings came out, I'm not surprised we were 7th. I'm just surprised we jumped Nevada, who only has 1 loss, but we were still behind Michigan State, who has 3 losses. They're kind of in the same boat as us, but I feel like we have a better resume. So everything will be okay. There's plenty of games to win. We have potentially a ranked Mississippi State, a definitely ranked Tennessee, definitely twice, another potentially ranked Auburn, questionably ranked Ole Miss, and then Florida, and then, of course, the SEC tournament. There's going to be plenty of times for us to get that 1 seed. I'd given up the fact that there was a potential we could go to Louisville and play in the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 there, which would be huge for us. No, here comes the Kansas State fans. But now I feel like it's believable. I feel like it's tangible. I feel like it's achievable, and I want it. I'm in the Louisville area. I want to go watch those games. When we got blasted in the game that we shan't mention, when we lost to Seton Hall, I started thinking we're going to have to go out west. I want it now. It's there. It's achievable. I need it. Looking at some of the bench players, obviously Nick Richards, 12 points, 1 rebound. That little jump shot, that little hook shot that Cal loved was huge because that's going to be his bread and butter. He's swatting shots like crazy. My concern with Nick Richards is he's tall, obviously. But when you face someone equally as tall as you, he seems a little clumsy. When the guy he's guarding can jump just as high, that was really my only flack with the first half, was that he got dunked on essentially because he went up days ago and the guy went behind him and dunked it in on him. Is when everything's equal, size, strength, Nick Richards gets kind of clumsy. I need the 19-point rebound game. There wasn't nobody on the squad, wasn't nobody on the floor near as tall as him. I need to see more. But I like what I've seen. This is a great game to have him in. You could play majority of the second half. Moving on here, Jamal Baker, he gave me what I want. A couple 3-pointers. Is not a liability on defense. I'm happy with that. This is your 10th man. This is your 9th best player. And the guy gives you 6 points, a rebound, and an assist, and doesn't become a liability. We're good. We're good there. Quickly, 6 points, 1 assist, 2 rebounds. I feel like that was the flow of the game. There was really no need that he got involved. There wasn't. He hit a couple of early shots that set the tone. But the way the bigs were playing, the way Richards and Washington was playing, really no need to get him going. Keldon Johnson, I did pass up him. 11 points, 2 assists. I'm going to give him the same Tyler Hero treatment. Just didn't need him tonight. It was a vacation night. It was a chill zone for him. I'm okay with this. EJ Montgomery. EJ Montgomery is an investment. EJ Montgomery is that company that we all want to invest in because I think it's going to pay off. 4 points, 2 assists, 2 rebounds. If he comes back next year, this is going to be huge. I look at him as the next PJ Washington. My fear is that it doesn't pay off. He's so talented just on paper that potentially he gets drafted. Or that he decides he can go transfer somewhere else. Less likely, but still a possibility. So I'm okay with investing limited minutes, limited production, not really much of a liability. I'm okay with that, but I need my payback. I need my investment. I need my return on whatever. I need my dividends. Need them because I don't want to lose it. I don't want him to go somewhere else. I don't want him to leave us and us not really see, because you see it a lot. Even in that 2015 team, I know we platooned, seeing Devin Booker put up 70, seeing Karl-Anthony Towns abuse everyone, you almost wonder, would we be better off if we hadn't platooned? If we had won the title in 14, did we almost guarantee a title in 15? Because now, yeah, we don't go anywhere near undefeated, but now by the time March rolls around, you got a Trey Lyles, a Devin Booker, and a Karl-Anthony Towns, and a Tyler Ulis that is used to all the shots. They went through their ups and downs. They went through their bumps and their bruises. I'm okay with it. Yeah, if he comes back, if EJ comes back, without a doubt, he is going to be one of the best players. I am excited. If we can get EJ, Tyler Hero, and quickly back, and probably Nick Richards, we need that big because I don't think there's very many bigs in this recruiting class left. If we can get 3 or 4 of those guys, boy, the hype on next year is real. So excited. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. One thing I didn't know, one thing I hadn't seen, I didn't know, draw a blank on his name, Johnny David. I didn't know he had a blue uniform. I say that jokingly. Typically, the blue uniforms are for road games. When Kentucky plays true road games, they're pretty close. We don't really get out there and blow people out like we did against Vandy. So to see him out there in a blue uniform, pretty awesome. Pretty excited about that. Looking through here, let's see. Gabe. Does anyone know how, talking to everybody out there listening, anybody know how I can bring somebody on? I know there's a way. Is there a way to invite yourself on? Because, hey, if anybody wants to come on, talk what their thoughts of the game are. Gabe said he wants to hop in here, have a conversation. I'm more than hyped to do such. I just don't know how. Let's see what we can get into. There's something I can break and create a poll. Don't want to do that. All right. What's this? What is this? There's something there. I thought I had something. Nope. Didn't have nothing. But for those who joining us, hopping in and out, do I see Reed dropping from the top 25 or top starting 5? I don't. I would actually like to see, and look, I'm no coach. I'm no John Calipari. I don't have the suit on. But what about Tyler Hero coming off the bench in 6th man? Not is a negative to him anyway, but the NBA has its best scorer. Comes off the bench as a 6th man. Usually, I know the NBA points are more of a plenty. People don't care about possessions as much in the NBA, so it's easy to do things like that. But I would love to see. Could we get a 20-point from him? I just want to find ways to get other guys involved. Obviously, I think Cal has this unlocked. Mr. Douglas, we are talking, or Miss Douglas, I apologize. I don't want to butcher your name. That would be extremely rude. We're talking about post-game Vandy, Kentucky. What's your thoughts? I has handing out a couple of grades. Start EJ over Hero. Only if it's not going to mess with him, Mike. If it's going to mess with him, if he's going to come out there, if he's going to put up shots, if it's going to make him lose his groove, I don't want to mess with it. But if he can give us better numbers, if he can get the most out of him and someone else, I'm all for it. So while I continue to go through here, see what some people's posting. Next game up at Florida. You want to see your viewers and tap me and click. Oh, well, let's see how I do this. Where's my viewers? I'll continue to work with it. Saturday, Florida, at Florida. It's going to be a big one. They're all big. When it's Kentucky, they're all big. Let's be honest. But we need it. Every game becomes big. So we're at the point where typically by this time of the season, I don't hate a loss. I shouldn't say it because that's my biggest fear. I don't want to peak too soon. I don't want to peak early. I don't want to have one of the greatest runs and to get bounced in the second round. I don't want to peak early. I want some more trials and tribulations. But, man, the more those wins pile up, the more you start to climb up that ranking. Because we got blasted by Duke. It was what it was. I didn't want that to be our only loss. I hated that we lost to Seton Hall, and then I hated that we lost to Bama, thinking that losses to Auburn and Kansas were in the work ahead. We've dodged those bullets. If in a perfect scenario for me is to beat Florida, beat LSU, or beat Florida, beat South Carolina, beat Mississippi State, beat LSU, shock Tennessee #1 at home or at our home, beat whoever's remaining. I think there's Arkansas, Ole Miss, and then lose a close one. Don't come at me. Don't come at me. Just lose a close one to Tennessee to get our lives right, to get us. Oh, we're not there yet. Drop that fourth loss, make it up, beat Ole Miss, beat Florida down the stretch, then go into the SEC tournament and get a big win. I think that would be huge for us. I think if we don't lose again, I think we're flirting with disaster. Let's see here. I'm still trying to see who the viewers are. Maybe it's up here. I can click on. I'm trying here. So one thing I have wanted to discuss while I'm talking to a couple of great UK fans, members of Big Blue Nation and Big Blue Breakdown, something Bing will look. Look, I know it's frustrating. How do we lose to Alabama? How do we almost lose to this team? You have to remember. Don't you watch your mouth, Buckeyster. I do not want to lose to Missouri. I forgot about Missouri. At Missouri, that's a tricky one. When we play these SEC teams, you have to remember the side of the beatdown they've been on. We have been king of the SEC for a long time. We have been the king of SEC for decades. And we were not a nice king. I mean, we beat some teams 100 times more than they beat us. Perfect example. I see a lot of people asking, how has Kansas beat us 3 straight times coming into Saturday's game? A lot of people on that Kansas roster, they remember that 40-point beatdown we gave them in 2015. Nobody on Kentucky does. That kind of thing keeps rolling over. When we lost to Bama, we beat them 10 straight times. There was 2 or 3 years ago, we went to Auburn and we lost. And everybody's like, how could we lose? And the announcers kept saying, we were like 98 out of the last 100 games versus them or something like that, or at that location. When you beat somebody 90% of the time, when year in and year out, going back to the old SEC East and SEC West days, when you beat somebody twice a year annually like it's nothing, like it's a holiday and it's just your right, that's eventually going to catch up to you. There's going to come a time that it's going to bite you. Luckily, it doesn't really. But so the next time when you're saying, how do we lose to South Carolina on the road? That's how. South Carolina hates our guts. We could care less about South Carolina. South Carolina's not on our level. I say the same thing about the Louisville-Kentucky rivalry. To fans, that's huge. To fans, that's a must. But to players, it's not. To Louisville players, it is. To Kentucky players, we want to get to the Final Four. That's why it's 10-1. No, they're coming from everywhere. We got an ACC as the toughest conference. We're not even talking about toughest conference. We're talking about decades of just abuse of one team over every other conference. So maybe it does lend itself to Kentucky or the SEC not always being the toughest conference. But when you look, I've made a post about it. I forgot the numbers. But when you look, the closest rivalry, I believe, as far as percentage, was like Tennessee. It was like 80-40. I mean, obviously you got Missouri and Texas A&M, who's only been here a couple of years, so you haven't really had that much of a chance to really just to abuse it. But when you look at longtime participants in the SEC, it's not pretty. I think we beat Vanderbilt 148-50 times. Out of 200 times, we beat them 148. Probably closer to 150 now. So that's kind of I'm still trying to figure out how to get somebody on here. You have to see your viewers and tap. Like I said, I really wanted to get on here and talk to some fellow Big Blue Nation fans, kind of get their thoughts on the game. Mr. Gabe, is there nowhere you can click that says join and send invite? This is saddening to me. Best rivalry. All right, let me talk to Mr. Ryan. We'll talk with Mr. Ryan. Duke, North Carolina is a good basketball rivalry. I'll give him that. It might be the best basketball rivalry. But let's talk total rivalry. I've watched Duke and North Carolina. They don't care about football. They don't care about any of that. Kentucky, Louisville, we care about football. We care about basketball. We care about women basketball. We get hyped over baseball. Louisville baseball over here gives free tickets out, or did a couple years ago. But when it comes time to play Kentucky, they're $20. It's just $20, I know, but considering that's a huge markup from the $0 it originally cost. Ohio, Michigan, great football rivalry. Could care less about when they play in basketball. They'll even tell you themselves. Actually, Ohio State and Michigan's playing tonight. Anybody care? No. So, yes, Duke, North Carolina is a big basketball rivalry. Just like Ohio State, Michigan's a big football rivalry. But when you want a rivalry, and it means so much more, not because we're not in the same conference. Because on the Saturday after Thanksgiving, when Kentucky beat Louisville 56-10, 364 glorious days, I get to rub that in somebody's face. When we beat Louisville basketball by 30, 364 days, do I get to rub that in someone's face? Let's just say Duke beats North Carolina. It's going to last, 2 weeks? And then say North Carolina beats Duke. It's going to last another 2 weeks. They'll probably meet in the ACC tournament. Look, it's a good rivalry. Duke has a great environment. But when you're talking about a rivalry where the loser gets it just crammed in their face for one whole year, so, Ryan, you got me. I think so. There's different levels to a rivalry. There's the fan rivalry, and then there's the player rivalry. The only reason I don't think Kentucky cares about the Louisville-Kentucky rivalry is because those kids aren't from Kentucky. Those kids are from New York, LA, California. They care about the Final Four. Honestly, that might be why we don't get it done in the Final Four, because that's their big game. We care about it. I care about it. I have just a few rules every season. I don't want to lose at Rupp. I don't want to lose to Louisville. And I don't want to lose in March. If you give me those three, I will be a happy camper. Don't need titles. Love a title. Man, I could do a whole entire show on how many titles we should have. I could probably get you about 30 titles that we should have hanging in Rupp. But to me, yes, that matters. The Kentucky fan, to the Kentucky players in basketball, not those other sports where they're here a couple of years. Jordan Jones, Josh Allen, Benny Snells, they wanted to blast Louisville. Basketball team, typically probably not. They know they want it for us. They say it every year. The fans tell us how big this is. So it's big. They know it's big. They just don't view it big. So, look, as far as sports goes, my opinion, Kentucky-Louisville's best rivalry only because more opportunity. But, hey, I get it, man. I've never been to Duke, North Carolina. I just know that, and maybe it is. Maybe in Durham, when the football game kicks off, maybe it is big time. I wouldn't call it overrated. So, anybody got any thoughts on tonight's game? I'm trying to go back. Just side note, I loved the pull-up three that reminded you of Steph Curry on a breakaway that Tyler Hero did. It missed. It was a close miss. It probably should have went in. But that's how you know Calipari trusts this team. That's how you know that Calipari is loving where we're at. Now, he might get a chewing out in film session. I don't know. But right now, in that game, he didn't get pulled. This kid pulled up. He had a pull-up breakaway three-pointer. That's Steph Clay stuff. James Harden. Terrence, I agree. That's why I said my expectation we don't lose in March. Typically, the Final Four will fall in the first week of April. I always want to win it, but realistically, you can't win it every year. Even though I would have loved to win it in 10, 11, 12 with a nice little Elite 8 and 13, win it in 14, 15, Elite 8 and 16, and then won it in 17. I don't think we could have won it last year. Even if we would have got past K-State and made it to the Final Four, I think Villanova was just head and shoulders better than everybody. Man, it hurts. That is one thing I do love about this team. And people said it early. Who are you going to go to in the crunch time? I don't think it matters now. If we need a big stop, 30 seconds left, they got a player going nuts. I'm confident Ashton Hagans is locking that down. Need a big shot? Tyler Hero's got me. Need a big play? Keldon Johnson's got me. Need something? Big-time rebound, big last-minute putback? I got all the faith in the world in Reed Travis and P.J. Washington. So I don't think this is not one of those teams. This isn't the NBA, man. I think Cal likes to run this like an NBA. Let's see what we got here. Obviously, Derek, yeah, he's going to be a huge key solely because, he's height. He's our best blocker. He could be our potential best rebounder. You can never have too much depth in March. If we can still win it without him, we can win it if he gives us absolutely nothing, but it's going to be a lot tougher as we start to have to work through Gonzaga. Potentially, I know Michigan's always got a big man. Duke and Marcus Bolden, I don't know what his situation is, but Richard, it definitely can't hurt. I think he's going to be a cog. I think our biggest thing is going to be free throw shooting and scoring. I think Ashton Hagans' defense, Tyler Hero. Ashton Hagans' defense brings everyone else's defense up. So I think we have enough to get it done, but I'll never turn away a big man who can dominate. I see Mike saying here, did you like what Baker brought? I always like what Baker brings. Because here's the thing. Baker's the 9th man. If Quaddy hadn't left, Baker would have been your 10th man. If anybody would have came back from last year, he'd have been 11th to 12th man. So when you can go to your 9th man and get a big-time three. Because if Baker's entire stamp on this team is just coming in the final 2 minutes of the first half and getting an easy foul that someone else doesn't have to get, hitting a big three, and not being a liability on defense, we're into something special. Because that last 2 minutes is when things happen. I said it at the very beginning against Duke when I felt like we were coming away. You see it in every game, especially in March. That last 2 minute stretch is key. And you don't even have to win it there. Just don't lose it. And I think Baker is that. Baker's not going to lose it. You're going to put it in there. If he gets an open three, I'm confident he's going to drill it. If he picks up a foul, at least it's not Hagans, Quickly, Hero, Johnson. He seems to be doing decent on defense. He's not making huge noise like Hagans, but I don't get frustrated. I'm not pulling my hair out saying, why did he give up that play? If you told me that's what you get from your 9th man, hey, I'm okay. Hagans can control a game of his defense, watch how he defends. Hey, absolutely. And not only does he deteriorate their team, he raises everyone else up. I said this on one of the shows, and hear me out before everybody gets upset about what I'm saying. Ashton Hagans is the guard version of Anthony Davis. If you remember that 12 year, when guards got beat, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a big deal because Anthony Davis sent it to the stands or would reject it into an easy layup. Think of this the other way around. When other guards or forwards play aggressive on defense and miss, Hagans' speed is there. How many times do you see Hagans just swatting? I've seen a bunch of angry faces for something. I don't know what I did. When you see Hagans just middling around somewhere he doesn't belong, but coming up with a steal in the trees, that changes things. That's a game changer. When Tyler Hero can get a steal, and then he can try to go for another steal and say he misses, and then his guy's driving, but here comes Higgins to swipe it away and make it harder on the guy, that's game changing. PJ play big every game, then we're a problem? Absolutely. PJ's going to be our game changer. If we win a title, PJ goes top 10 in the draft. I'm calling it now. But let me roll that up. I got too passionate. If we win the title, PJ's a lottery pick. Because that means he put up 20 points after 20 points after 20 points after 10 rebounds after double doubles after 3 points. Only thing I fear is we rely on him, then he folds and faces other. Hey, that's what I'm saying, Mike. If PJ folds, if PJ has that game where he just can't get it going, the likelihood now of the magic that we're bringing of you getting PJ having a bad night, then Tyler Hero has a bad night, and then Ashton Higgins is a liability on offense, and then Keldon Johnson disappears. The likelihood of those things happening are slim. And then maybe, so then let's just say early on, PJ struggles. PJ can't get it rocking. Just gets it down low, kicks it back out for an easy three. Next thing you know, you're not doubling down on PJ. Next thing you know, he's one-on-one with a good big. I'll take his chances against about anybody. Man, I'm excited about this team. And I was never off the bandwagon. I was never saying this wasn't. You just start. When you start when you have to start worrying about outside liars, that becomes stressful. If we were playing the entire month of March in Rupp Arena, we're fine. We're always fine. But then when you start seeing us struggling, you're like, man, if we have to go out west, man, if we play a team that has A, B, or C, you start getting a little nervous. But now it's one of those teams. It's kind of like 2014 when they went to March and after they beat the first two games, after they beat Wichita State, after they beat Kansas State, after they beat Louisville, you thought we could beat anybody. Ironically, it was the worst team we faced. It was UConn that got us. But this team right here, I feel like we could win anywhere. We could win on the moon. The game could be in Saudi Arabia. The game could be on Mars. The game could be on Pluto. And I like our chances against anybody that's in college basketball. What did Mike say here? Do you think we have a four-headed monster in the post? I think in a way, yes. In a sense, we have the four-headed monster in the sense that you don't lose. We talk about this a lot, Mike. You don't lose anything when you go away from your star. If there was a pecking order now, it would probably be PJ, it'd probably be Reed, Nick Richards, and then EJ. Just because I think when all things are equal, right now, Nick's experience is going to get him over what EJ brings. So my thoughts is that PJ is going to be your man. When we're talking just post, PJ is going to be your man. Reed's going to be your hustle guy. But the fact that you can go to a guy like Nick Richards, potentially, I still need to see a little bit more, and EJ, which he had a big three tonight. But the fact that you can do that and not lose anything or lose as much and not notice it. That's really, we've talked about this a lot, like I said, Mike. That's really the thing that I look. When these bench players come in, when Quickly takes out Higgins, when Baker comes in, I say, do I notice you? Now, if you do something amazing and I notice you, awesome. But I'm okay if I just don't notice you. If I look at the game log and I say, hey, so-and-so on the bench played 13 minutes. Didn't notice it. That's good. That means he wasn't a liability. He didn't cost us. He didn't do anything stupid. He didn't do anything to frustrate Cal, at least at initial sights. So I'm okay with that. PJ keeps getting double-double. He's going to the lottery. Terrence, he still had a couple of missed free throws, but I think he's 50-50. I think what is he overall, 68%? I think he's 50-50. I think he's fine there. I want to see more trash man out of EJ. What? So I see some people in here, and man, I wish I could find out a way to bring somebody on here. I wonder if I did it from my phone. because I want to see how we do compare up against the likes of Duke, Tennessee now that we're ready, now that the eyes are on us, now that we aren't going to get caught off guard, or we don't think our you-know-what don't stink. I want to see what we have. Let's see. There's a bunch of comments here. Hustle plays. I get it. Like 6 people watching. I can't even get to none of you. This is a shame. It's a sham. Hey, Mike, is there like a dot or something you can click on to invite yourself on? Because I use another little platform I used to use. You could hop in. Let's see. There's no team I fear now. Starts on defensive end. The boys locked in. Absolutely. Offense leads defense. Defense leads the offense. I have no problem at any parts of those because breakaways allow easy points. Easy points lets us set up. Feel free to click on Big Blue Breakdown. Join the page. Like the page. We do a twice a week little podcast show. Typically one's a it's typically recap preview of the game since now we're an SEC play. We play twice a week. I think we're on. We're gonna figure this out. May not be this episode. Might be after the Florida game. I'm gonna figure this out. Nothing. This is why I need a co-host right here. If I had a co-host, we'll be fine. What we have to do is turn our defense into offense. Yeah. And you hear Cal say it, which I thought that was hilarious. On a side note, some of the environment things I've seen, the way that Vanderbilt's court was all screwed up. When Cal was yelling down at the opposite end, it felt like a kid. It felt like some kid or somebody screaming in the background that couldn't hear. Because like you would see Nick Richards get a foul, and then you'd hear somebody go, no, way down at the other end. It cracked me up because he was so passionate. Cal always wants to have his voice heard and have his team follow him, but they couldn't. And then the crowd that we already talked, it was 90, it had to be 70% Kentucky fans. The fact they were chanting "Go Big Blue" and they weren't even trying to offset it with boos let me know that it was booked Big Blue. But the fact that there was like 5 drunken college students that let out the woo when a three, like they were down 40. They hit a 3, woo, hit a layup. It was Ric Flair in the crowd. Is that what happened? Because it cracked me up. Because you just know it was some college drunk guy who had no classes tomorrow and had nothing better to do than go to this Vanderbilt game. They were getting blasted, the team. He had no reason to leave. And so when they did do 1 or 2 nice things, he felt the need to woo for it. Hey, props to him. Way to be a fan. I just thought it was funny because you knew it was over. This is how you knew it was over early, when Jimmy Dykes talked about his music career. Which, by the way, that wasn't a bad song. I'd rather hear that song than Dickie V. Just saying. Remember last year against Virginia Tech, we caused havoc in the first half. Yeah, I mean, this team is a better version of last year's team, Gabe. I certainly agree. I think the fact that we can set up in our half court makes us even scarier. But, man, you can't – so much gets done, especially in college where every possession matters. You would think in an NBA game and a college game there wouldn't be that big of a difference. But that 8 minutes makes such a huge difference in the college game that you can't waste possessions. In NBA, it seems like they take half the shots, don't even matter. No lead's too big. It just is what it is. But in college, everything matters. That's why it's so stressful. That's why it's such a rush. That's why I love it. But I feel like when they got a breakaway, I feel like a breakaway, a dunk, a lob, a 360 windmill, whatever, you're not going to see that here, will do more for a crowd. That's why I was a little hard on Reed. Sorry. I apologize, guys. That's why I was a little hard on Nick Richards when he gave up that silly putback dunk where he essentially got dunked on, because what that did, a better team gets momentum. You're playing Duke, championship game, you got a 10-point lead on them, Zion comes in with a thunderous dunk, That's going to be a turning point for them. We got to play a little better on some of those things. We're at the point where, yes, I know we have a tough point of the season coming up, but we're at the point where we're playing against ourselves, where you look at a game and you say, we won, but could that have won a championship? Could that 40 minutes have gotten us a championship? And I think the answer tonight would have been yes. The game against Auburn, yes-ish. You can't let a 17 points slip away, but when you get some pretty rough calls down the stretch, they're gonna get some free points. The game against Kansas, that's championship-ish basketball. I don't care that Azubuike was out. I mean, considering how we played in the second half, I'm not playing Kansas. I'm not playing Vandy. Saturday, I'm not playing Florida. I'm saying, because that's the thing about three-point, like with shots and three-pointers, it doesn't matter if you're wide open. You're still not guaranteed to make them. So I need to see some rhythm against anybody to know that we can do it against everybody. Let's see here. Yeah, Terrence, I think – Terrence, why are you hating on the man's song? It wasn't a bad song at all. It was like that because it was a while ago, right? It was before he started coaching. Let's go Nashville. Huh. But yeah, I feel like everybody picks up. Sorry, guys. I feel like everybody picks up off Hagans. Hagans is a balls to the wall guy, 110 miles an hour, and even if you're not as good as him, which let's be real, nobody on that team is as good defensively as he is. If you're not giving 100%, he makes you look that much worse on game film. And if for anybody who's ever played any sport, probably high score up, you don't care about making a mistake. You care about, did you lose the game, and are you going to get yelled at in film class, in film study? Hagans is going to get you yelled at in film study. Even if you're not as good as him, if you're playing lackadaisical, lollygagging, to take your word, on closeouts, you're going to get called out on film study. Hagans does that. Last year was an experiment team. You know, Gabe, I like what you're saying, and I'm sorry if I'm behind here. Last year I felt like was the closest thing to Kentucky rebuilding. And I don't know if it was purpose or not purposely done, but Cal didn't get the guys that – he didn't get DeAndre Ayton. He didn't get Colin Sexton. He didn't get was it Mo Bamba. He did get Kevin Knox. But most of those guys were investments, were your North Carolina recruiting classes. Or you're good. You have talent at the wazoo. But stay here a couple years. That's why I hope, even if we win a title, we keep building of it. Because let me tell you, last year was a frustrating year. But if that goes into motion, we could see something special. Fans momentum. We have built a great resume over the last couple of weeks. Look, if we're playing that great of defense, yeah. If we're playing that good of defense with the offense that we can get done, I keep looking back at this resume, and I keep thinking, if you told me I would be 18-3, or I think we're 17-3 now. If you told me we'd be 17-3 after the Duke game, good. Because I'm telling you, we lost to Kansas, we lost to Auburn, and we lost to Duke, right? No. I said this on the show. The Duke game was horrible. I hate that I have to keep bringing it up. It's a bad taste in my mouth. But losing to Alabama, losing to Seton Hall, that's fine. And the reason it's easy to say it, the sting's gone, the burn's out of our system. The reason it's fine is because when March rolls around, they're not going to get put, and they do that big 9-hour special. They're not going to put bad loss, good wins. The Seton Hall wouldn't have made either one. If we'd have beat Seton Hall, it wouldn't have made the good win column. If we'd have lost, we lost Seton Hall. Now, granted, if that's one of the only two losses we have, it might make the column, but it's not like South Carolina. It's not like losing to who was the team? I'm drawing a blank on the team that Stephen F. Austin, or the team that Villanova got blasted by early in the season. You know, those teams just kind of fall through the cracks. And the fact that you didn't lose at Rupp, you didn't lose at home, they were losses that woke up your team. If we finished 30, what would it be? When it got around, if we was 30-4, 29-5, SEC title under our belts, that win column, at Auburn, Mississippi State, Kansas, any of those. Let's say the bad thing about that loss is that look, Mike, I see what you're saying. I don't buy into the transition of property A versus B equals C. No, it doesn't work like that. I mean, the guy just got hot. Furman. Yes, that's who it was. They lost to Furman, which they actually got ranked off that one for a little bit. So we're down to a couple of viewers. This is about the time that I would wrap this up. Trust me, anybody who tunes in the Big Blue Breakdown or watches this much longer will realize I could talk for hours. Typically, I just enjoy having somebody to talk to kind of bounce conversation off of. I'm going to use the final couple minutes here to see. Maybe I got something on my phone. 1 second, and we'll see if I can maybe invite somebody in from my phone, because that's what the kids say can happen. But I don't know if I can do it from going live. We just don't like hearing the Dirty Birds took. Yeah, they also beat North Carolina by 20. This year in college basketball, look, this year in college basketball is been compounding. When you see Furman, and I'm just using Furman for example. I know absolutely nothing about Furman. But when you look at teams like Furman, for example, and you're like, how are they ranked? How are they in the Sweet 16? And you see that they have this guard, and then you look and the guard actually went to Florida 3 years ago, but got hurt or got in trouble. You know, kids go everywhere. And now this is one thing that I think is going to affect Kentucky, and Cal has to adapt. ESPN Plus plays every Western Kentucky game. Western Kentucky. So I could go to Western Kentucky. What's his name? The Duncan kid? The kid that's whamming on everybody at Murray State? The kid's a top 5 pick. Murray State. Sophomore. Not even a senior. Not even a junior. Not like he's done it in March. The kid's a sophomore. Dunking on people, playing with heart. He's going to get drafted in the top 5. Kids know they can go anywhere. Especially if they try to come to a school like Kentucky or a school like Duke, and it doesn't pan out, life starts going down the crapper, you start getting in trouble, maybe you make out with somebody's girlfriend and it gets you booted from the team. I don't know. You can go anywhere. You can go to Tennessee Tech. You can go to the team that beat – I'm drawing a blank because I'm so passionate right now. The team that beat Duke in 2012. Yeah, played with Zion. So one thing I want to bring up to the few people we have listening, it seems like Gabe and Mike's still, interacting with us. You know, you have that nature versus nurture conversation. What about skill versus opportunity? Now, Ja Morant is just a sophomore. If the kid had come to Kentucky, is he sitting on the bench gathering dust? Is he whamming on everybody he comes in contact with like he is now? I don't know. Is it because he's so skillful that Cal would have found a way to get him on the court? Or would it, you see it. You turn on Michigan and you see what Charles Matthews doing. Is that opportunity? Is that because he's an upperclassman now? Is that because of a system? You know, one thing that I heard that was very, and I'll probably grab about this until the day I die. In 2014, we lost to LSU. And it snowed. It snowed in LSU. There was like 20 people in the stands. Just got to read over here. Everybody that I knew that was a Kentucky fan said we shouldn't have let Anthony Hickey leave the state because now we're stuck with Andrew Harrison. First off, Anthony Hickey was a senior. Andrew Harrison was a freshman. Anthony Hickey knew he wanted to beat Kentucky. The Harrison twins could care less about LSU. Not an excuse. But who's to say that would even happen? Anthony Hickey went to LSU and started playing from A1 day one. Anthony Hickey would have came here as a freshman, probably a walk-on, would have sat behind Brandon Knight, would have sat behind Marcus Teague, might have got a little shine in that 2013 team because nobody acted like they wanted to play point guard. But yet, you can't have your cake and eat it both. You can't have these hot, flashy, five-star freshmen, and then when a kid turns out to be a senior, say, ooh, I wished I had him too, because he wouldn't have developed the same way. Just look at the NBA itself. Julius Randle is balling at New Orleans. Didn't really see that much at Los Angeles. Opportunity, time allows for that to happen. I think if he came to K, it'd be better because So that's a good point, Gabe. I'm just curious, how long would it have taken us to see it? How long would it have taken us to realize that's who this kid is? And would he have been able to play through his mistakes? I've not watched many of his games. I've not actually watched a game other than the few dunks he's had. And I seen that he got hurt a couple days ago. Would Cal have allowed him to make the mistakes he inevitably made at Murray State? I bet you he had a lot of turnovers last year. I bet you he makes a lot of mistakes this year just because they're kids. It happens. Yeah, it's tough to say. That's like I said. I definitely want to find a way to get Gabe on here because I think he brings up some good points. It is a big conversation. You got different systems. Different leash levels that you give. I'm sure that if you're the best player if you're a big fish in a small pond, you can make almost any mistake ever. Michael Porter. You look at Michael Porter, the Markel Fultz kids at Washington, Ben Simmons at LSU. They could get away with stuff at those teams that Cal would never let them get away with here. Just not how it works. Even a freshman, even 5-star, even #1 draft pick, Cal's going to yank you if you're not playing passionate. I mean, Ben Simmons couldn't even find his way to class. So, I don't know. I could go, a lot of these theories, a lot of these thought processes that I have, I mean, it's very interesting. I would love to see, don't kill me for this, I would love to see us adapt a North Carolina style of recruiting cycle where every year we have a pyramid. We have a junior, 2 sophomores, 2 freshmen type thing. There are 2 freshmen, 3 sophomore type thing. Get 5-star class. Get 5-star kids that are undersized. Get 5-star kids that are good but not really great enough to go pro. I keep thinking of guys like that North Carolina had. They had the Marcus kid. I'm drawing a blank on him. The Justin Jackson, who was tall, could shoot, but couldn't shoot good enough. But he wasn't tall enough. He wasn't long enough, but he was long. Just things like that. That we get them in here, and we just work things. Just kind of work them out, and then like I would love for this team to win a title next year. Bring in the likes of, I know we got the Whitley kid, the Maxey kid, maybe bring in, I've gone blurry here. Bring in one of the big guys, keep Hero, keep Richards, keep Montgomery. Then the next year, you just keep recycling because that's how I think you get into dynasty building mode. I think that's how you get to the point where, what we thought we were going to get with Cal. 10, 11, and 12, Elite 8, Final Four championship. I thought that was, and 13 was an outlier. And then I don't want Ball. I don't want him. I don't want his dad here. Look, you can't have Mike. We do enough shows. You can't have me and another talkative guy. I'm the talkative one. You can't have me and another talkative guy. It just don't work. Cal is the mouth of Lexington. Cal barely talks enough. They barely have enough time to talk to Cal as is. You bring LeVar Ball in here, there's not enough. Lexington doesn't have enough cable channels, news stations to get all that done. Hey, Gabe, I would love that. I would love to get the next Steven Adams. I know he only played 1 year at Pitt, but a kid like that, the kid that, or the 7-foot kid that's 7 foot tall, 120 pounds, and can't make it in the pros yet, but he can outshoot Klay Thompson. That's the kid. Absolutely. There's a lot of them out there. And I think what you're going to see, and we talked about it a little while ago about how you can go pro from any school, I think you're going to see Cal get creative in recruiting. I think you're going to see Cal start realizing I can't just go out here and get best point guard, best shooting guard, best power forward, best center. I'm going to have to go out here and get a guy that should be a senior in high school. I'm going to go out here and get a guy that's overseas. I'm going to go out here and get a guy that's doing A, B, or C and try to make this work. Willie Cauley-Stein, football guy. So I do think that's going to have to happen, especially as these draft things start to pick up, where you can come back after this, or guys can transfer. If they make any major rules to the draft or the transfer rules, I think Cal is definitely going to have to get creative in anything that he does. All right. I was close to getting this figured out, I thought. I'm just trying to figure this out so it's good for the next show. Because and let me know. I don't mind doing this. I love talking Kentucky. I'm in like 900 groups. If you want to, we already do the 2 podcasts. If any of y'all would like to join in and listen to it and join a conversation and have a conversation before tip off, before the game starts, I don't mind doing that. I'm probably a little bit more high strung because I'm super stressed out before the game starts. That is what that is. Oh, that's gonna be me. Let's see what we can do. I got somebody on my. How do I? Well, all I can do is report people's comments from here. So I was going to try to see if I could bring somebody on from my phone. Wasn't working. There's some guys clicking. Yeah, I like what those other teams do. Just North Carolina gets it done. That's why I use North Carolina as talking about rosters and their recruiting, because North Carolina hoists the trophy. Michigan, I mean, if you want to take the one from Louisville and give it to them, they got one, but they haven't got it done. You know, they got there last year, then got embarrassed. What's Chris in here saying? You know, you can mess around with the lineup. I see Chris talking about messing around with the lineup. I'm fine with that. You know the kids better than I do. I felt like last year he would start Nick Richards and then would take him out after 4 minutes and he would never see the field again, or court again. I think that was because he knew the only way to get anything out of Nick Richards was a starting. So maybe that's the type of thing. As long as which, like I said, I trust anything he does. If he comes out here and wants to start all 5 of his big men or 4 of the big men, and then Keldon, if he wants to put Keldon at the 1, Reed at the 2, EJ at the 3, Nick at the 4, and PJ at the 5, I trust him. He's earned that. He's earned that request for me. But I mean, I just as long as he doesn't throw anything out of whack by messing around with it too much. Hey, Wildcats in 78 partied with the Goose back in 84. Hey, always loving a fan of Big Blue. Yeah, I think Reed Travis is going to give us some. He's still got some of the tank. I just think everybody else is coming into their own. He's getting ready for a tournament time, or is it too late? No, it's never too late. I mean, the tweak, the big tweak, that whatever it was, what that was, that happened the SEC tournament. And maybe it wasn't big, maybe it was something minuscule, but it happened. And then next thing you know, we're winning. No, we lost the SEC tournament on a bad play at the end against Florida. And then next thing you know, we're in the championship game. So where are we at here? Look at this. Works. Mullet. The mullet, it's taking some time. It's taking some time. Are you talking about, Chris, you said we haven't seen the best. Are you talking about a mullet, or are we talking about this Kentucky team? Because that's what, like I said, I've said this probably 5-10 times tonight alone. As long as we're not peaking, as long as we can carry this over, because, man, tonight felt special. And I know it's against Vandy. Don't need anyone to tell me that. Don't need it. I don't need that to happen. Vandy's not making the tournament. I get it. Are they 9-10? Haven't won an SEC game yet. But to see the 3-pointers fall, you could be in an open gym, and those 3-pointers aren't guaranteed to fall. To see PJ, like, man, could have had 30 if he really wanted it. To see other guys stepping up. What are you talking about? Who? What do you mean, Chris, talking Reed? You're a friend. We're friends on Facebook. Can I bring you on? Oh, I messed this up, didn't I? Thought I did. Get away. I'm still trying to find out because, like I said, great conversation. Shout out to Chris, Mike. You know, they've been a part of the show. Gabe, Chris. There was a guy up here earlier. He had to bounce out. I think his name was Terrence. Made it a blast. This is what I love doing. I love talking. Limit turnovers and force them tonight. Yes. Hey, that was so frustrating. I think we had 1 turnover at half, and we ended up the game with 7 or 8. And they were foolish. They were at the part of the game where you've checked out. You're just having fun. It's hard to bring that intensity. Oh yeah, absolutely, Mike. Okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah, but even then, Reed has reached his peak as a player, but I think he still has the potential to contribute in ways he hasn't figured out yet. And he will find a way to adjust. I think he's good like that. I said this earlier. That's the difference from having a guy who's maxed out who's a senior opposed to a guy who maxed out as a freshman or a sophomore. They get their heads down. They don't know what to do. They go tuck it between their legs. They go call mommy. They talk about transferring. They don't know what to do. Reed's done. Reed's got college basketball figured out. He has done everything he can do in college except play on a big stage and win a title. So when he struggles, he knows, let me just figure this out. Let me just do something else. Let me just find out how I can be productive because everyone else is out rebounding. The man's what, 23, 24, which isn't sounding that old, but what is this, his 5th year of college basketball? Tired legs. What we got going on down here? Oh, I broke it. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't want to max out too soon. We have a really good team. I said this at the beginning. This goes into the rarefied air for me with 2010, with 2015, with 2012, and with a little bit with 2017. That these are teams, they're not as, this team is on the par with those yet, but they have my heart and investment majority of the season. I felt like the 2012 team, the 2014 team, the 16 and 18 team, you rooted for them, you liked them, but you never really was there. It was like you just did it as you cheered as an obligation, and once March got there, he was like, oh, let's see what we can do. This is a team, when I see Hagens getting pumped up, when I see Keldon Johnson hug Tyler Hero, when I see Tyler Hero look and smirk in the camera before shooting a big free throw, these are moments that I need. I personally need this to end in a title. I need that because I am that invested in this team. And it's slowly but surely. So, I don't know. And I'm going to take a second because it's just things spewing right now because, like I said, I'm passionate. It's a hype game. What's going on here? Heart to heart. Is it? Make it to the finals. You talking about the finals, like the championship game? What happened to me? Uh-oh, I lost me. There I am. I mean, it depends on how you lose. There's certain losses that hurt worse than others. I mean, if we lose to Duke, Louisville, one of those teams, I'll probably need a pretty big shoulder. Any loss at all will obviously sting. I don't want to think about it, so I'm not going to answer that question any further. Got a little while before I have to worry about that. So the thing that cracks me up, I get the feeling that everybody that's watching, everybody that's interacting is legitimate fans. You love the ups, you suffer through the downs, but you're still here. My man up here earlier, where's he at? Where's my man that partied with Goose? Chris Whitaker. The man partied with Goose. The Goose. We're all here. We all love this team, good or bad, NIT or national championship brown. But let's talk about let's join a group here and talk about the frustration of the bandwagoners. And I ain't talking about the people who could care less about Kentucky, but when we're winning, they're here. The ones that are here all the time, but insist on frustrating, on complaining. You got me flustered. They insist on always complaining, always being negative. The season, it works the same every way except maybe 12 and 15. The season starts, and all we hear is how bad these kids are. PJ's no good. Tyler Hero's overrated. This person's that. Ashton Hagen's too young. This team's so horrible. And then we start to get it figured out. It starts to come together. It's not one person. It's the entire team. It's Cal. It's just working out. Then we lose to Bama. We lose to this little team that we shouldn't have lost to, South Carolina on the road. And Cal's overrated. He can't win with these elite talent. Well, first off, let's pump the brakes. Is this team elite? Because earlier, you just said they were trash and overrated, but now all of a sudden they're elite, and now Cal's overrated. Which one is it, man? Second off, my favorite. I miss the old days. They'll say, I miss the old days. Where'd my Chris Whitaker friend go? When did he say he started watching? In the 70s. My man here, Chris, did you watch Adolph Rupp? Did you watch Adolph Rupp win 4 titles? Because if not, I don't know what better year you're talking about. Because, yes, Cal's had his ups, but he's had his downs. Cal's resume looks about like every other coach we've had since Rupp, if not better. Do you miss the Joby Hall years? 1 title? Rick Pitino, he kind of pretty much mirrored it. A couple Elite Eights, a couple Final Fours, and a national title. Do you miss Tubby? Do you miss Gillespie? I bet you miss Eddie Sutton. Which is it? Because when you sit here, and the man's our age, like he's 30 to 60, and you're typically not even that old. They're 30 and 40, and they're sitting there saying, oh, I miss the old Kentucky. This is not like it was in the old days. What old days? Because I know you wasn't listening to Rupp on the radio. I know you weren't there in 48 to 51. So what dynasty did I miss? Where? Cal does things a little different. Cal's a little showier than probably other people. Cal gets your hopes up and then dashes them with some one and dones. But what dynasty did I sleep through that makes you think that he's somehow bringing the program down? I'm just look. Rick had a nice run here. Elite 8, Final Four, Elite 8, Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four, and championship, and then runner-up. Looks about like what Cal's doing here. A little different type of players. I don't know. I shouldn't have went that tangent. You know, it just feels like, because this is a great night. Like I said, a great win. It's not just this win was great. It's like we just had a great dessert. We just had a great pie, a great piece of cake. Yeah, you couldn't get full off that cake, but when you started with an appetizer of an Auburn win, you followed it up with a nice salad, a nice side of a Mississippi State win, and then a delicious steak and a Kansas win. Man, this Vanderbilt win really hit the spot. All right, what we got going on here? Where are we at? If you remember, most fans are saying we're a 10 seed after that loss. Look, the gates are open. We can be a 1 seed. But it doesn't matter. Because this is the way I look at it. 2014, we were an 8 seed. After that first weekend, you're the 1 seed now. Once Kentucky beat Kansas State and then turned around and beat Wichita State, we were the 1 seed. We played a 4 seed, 2 seed, so forth. When you get a lower seed, all that means is you play the tougher team up front. I'm fine with that. Play them when you're fresh. What do we got here? Chris, I think he is the best. It's almost a college football mentality, a loss or two. I do think that played a toll in some early season shenanigans that the fan base felt. That typically, by the time basketball tips off, we're so flustered with our football team that any basketball performance, mediocre or not, quenches our thirst. It's good to be relevant again. But typically, historically, the time November rolls here, you're below 500, you're at 500, you're at a mediocre at best bowl game. And so when basketball season tips, you're just so hungry you'll take anything. But this year, our football team gave you good stuff. Our football team gave you a great product. And so when the basketball team came out and laid a dud, you're like, I'm not ready for that. Take this away, waiter. We talk about the food mentality. Waiter, I'm not ready for that. I'm still over here eating my football food. So I think that played a toll in a lot of fans' mentality that I'm not ready for that mediocrity yet. I'm not ready for the rebuild because I'm enjoying this thing that we've just spent the last 5 years building, seeing Benny Snell, Josh Allen. We're seeing all this come to fruition. I'm not done eating this yet. Please take my rebuilding basketball team away. But now we've digested our football team. It's a great run. I could do a whole entire show on that alone. And our basketball team's coming together. All right. Cal's the best. Absolutely. I don't unbutton my pants. My wife's pregnant. I just wore maternity pants out. They stretch with you. All right. The man's got study. Best teams in 77. I don't know, Chris. You catch me off guard. All right. Well, everybody's saying they need to get off. I've been on here an hour and 20 minutes. This was just going to be a 30-minute little recap. Thank you for everybody who tuned in. Thank you for everybody who interacted. Check out the Big Blue Breakdown on. I'm getting blurry again. Check out Big Blue Breakdown. I think we're on iHeart. Mike could probably tell you more. We're on a bunch of other stuff that we do. I just love talking Kentucky. I don't care if I'm talking to my pet. I don't care if I'm talking to you guys. I don't care if I was hosting a show on ESPN. I just love talking Kentucky and love talking sports. It's been great. Might have to dive into a little Florida pregame show. Once I figure out how to interact, that's when I want to hear from people. I want to hear the thoughts of the pregame, the negative and the positive. But thanks for everybody tuning in. Been an hour and 20 minutes. I'm exhausted. It's 12:30. We are literally not even on Tuesday anymore. We're on to Wednesday. This is usually where I have Mike tell them where they can listen to us at. But, hey, we're already out of here. All right, thanks, guys.